So this is why there's such a big class of ergonomic chairs. This is why sit-stand desks are so prevalent right now, is because as you've seen from the news and as you've seen from some of the literature that's been put out there in media and social media places, the sitting is killing us. And it really actually is. You know, when we sit, if you're, say you're sitting, you know, weeding your garden, you're sitting on the ground and your legs are crossed and you're leaning forward, how much flexion is that putting, or how much bend is that putting in my back? And how much pressure is that putting on my sacroiliac joints now that my knees are all the way out here and then leaning forward? So it's actually creating an immense amount of stress. And that's why when we sit, you're supposed to have a very slightly more open angle than a 90-degree angle. So they say about 100 to 120 degrees is where the hips should be in sitting. So your car seats, we talked about how to get in and out of the car, but how do you adjust your car seat to make it appropriate for your fit? Because some car seats have the built-in lumbar supports that are already there. They're already shaped and formed into the seat. So you have to look to see, does it actually hit my low back? You know, I had a car in college, I loved that car, but its lumbar support was at my bottom. It didn't work. Driving like this, it pushes your butt forward and actually pushes me into that really bad position where it's called sacral sitting. It's where you're kind of sitting on your tailbone and not on the top of your butt bone. So can you guys feel where you're sitting right now? Can you feel your butt bones that you're sitting on? So when we sit, we actually want to have a balanced pressure between your butt bones, and we have a pubic bone in the front, but if you lean forward too far, you're sitting on it. And my back is arched, and we're flexed too much through the hips and the back. So you want to be kind of in that middle position there. And that's kind of how you know where your center is, like your center of gravity is then balanced over your hips. So you want a slightly open hip. The seat, some seats can adjust to make sure that it's longer or shorter, or that the seat angle is adjusted to where it's nice and flush with your thigh. So where when your feet are on the ground, there's not a gap here. So if you can tip your seat or move that portion of the seat until it's nice and flush with your thigh, so then your leg can just relax on it. Because how many times are we driving that all of a sudden we're like, man, I feel tense. Like you feel tense in the front of your hip or tense in the back, or wherever our body carries its tension. That's a sign that your body's trying to hold itself in a certain way versus your body just resting in the seat. So the other thing is that lumbar support, remember we talked about the arch in the low back and how it fixes this up here? That lumbar support is what's going to allow you to stay upright in driving versus driving like this, which is very hard on the neck, very hard on the shoulders, and very hard on the back as a whole, because we're just hanging on ligaments and muscles now versus our posture being more neutral. So we want to be able to sit back against the seat. Your headrest should be adjusted so that it touches this back portion of your head right here, not down here, and not up here too high. Because that's also the recommended area for it to touch in order for you to have less of a neck injury if you were to be in an accident, because that headrest is actually going to stop that motion. So a couple of different adjustments to your car seat. Now we also mentioned the center console. If you find that your seat is so warm that this butt cheek sinks down, this one goes up, or we're so much in a hurry to get into our car, if you have like a slight bucket to your seat, you're sitting kind of on one of the edges of the bucket, the other one's sitting on the center, again, it's going to create the same shifting in your pelvis as crossing your legs or sitting on your wallet. So those are the things that you want to kind of put yourself in the center of your seat to see if that's comfortable. And then you can't lean on the one arm all the time. We got to switch. We got to change what we're doing. Same thing with sleeping.